Hi, welcome to San Diego Comic-Con 2025. Welcome to the Beats Media Room, sponsored by the Last Lumenian, Lilac Grove. We are coming to you from the Seven Galaxies this year, and boy, oh boy, that's pretty exciting. That is how I feel in my brain. And by the way, don't forget to smash that like button on our YouTube channel, because the Beats YouTube is bringing you the Seven Galaxies. I am Heidi McDonald, the editor-in-chief of The Beat. We are here with an all-star panel to discuss what the heck is going on at Comic-Con. It's 2025. So we have Jimmy Aquino, podcaster from Comic News Insider, and also we have actress Morgana Ignis from Hell of a Boss. You know her from so many things.
Hell of a Boss is Sally Mae, and you can also hear me right now as the voice of Naki Keto in the English dub of Dad.
Yes, da-da-da-da. So, okay, it is still day one, but we're here at Comic-Con, and really the big story has been Superman versus Fantastic Four. And you know, versus, it's a little bit like...
We gotta be...
it's a Superman.
We can love them both.
And, right?
Listen, there's no problem with having two cakes.
Yes.
It's just like it's just I don't think you have to
I clearly
choose
enjoy
between-
several cakes.
I can
so
enjoy
yes.
many cakes. It's just like
Yes.
very many cakes of very different flavors.
Yes.
But I'm excited about both of them for very different reasons.
Have you seen, we've all seen Superman.
Yes.
I have been in prep for the Hellverse for the last several weeks. I have not been able to. After SDCC, I get my time back to go see movies, and Superman is first on the
Okay.
list.
I really liked it.
I loved it. So, so what do we think though about this year's con, just in terms of, you know, is San Diego Comic-Con still a good vehicle to promote films? Like, we are not really seeing Superman. Fantastic Four has a big activation, but is this still the premier place to promote what's coming out?
I don't know. I don't think so, because I feel like it's been waning for years now. And I think it started with like Scott Pilgrim. they're just kind of like, well, that didn't do as well as we thought it would. We had this giant activation, everything like that. But yeah, less and less is coming, and I think they're kind of seeing like, oh, we'll go down and promote if we can. But there's so much that didn't come, you know. So I think it might not be the best place for it, but I don't think it hurts. Well, it's good to be here.
I still think of these, you know, as far as cons go, this is still the biggest opportunity for films to promote at. That being said, though, after the pandemic, after lockdown and everything else, I think a lot of companies like really invested in their online approach to those things, social media, because you know, you have a much higher accessibility of people at a much lower cost.
Yeah.
So a lot of the, you know, even beyond movies, a lot of the big booths that I was used to seeing for years are now just investing in all their online approach and like digital shelves and displays and things like that. That being said, I think there's always going to be a place for SDCC. I think it's always going to be, it might not be what it was like 8 years ago, as far as like this is where everyone's going to do their releases, but I think there's always going to be a place for SDCC as like the place to make your announcements.
I think it's still aspirational, and we'll get to that in a moment. Do we think that James Gunn is the new Kevin Feige?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, absolutely, yeah, for sure.
I mean, here's the thing. I can tell just from what I've seen of Superman so far, like Kevin has been the captain of a ship with a singular vision that he's been able to bring in a lot of other creative visions into. You know, there's a lot of amazing directors who've been in the MCU, James Gunn being one of them, obviously, with how he took Guardians of the Galaxy, which before James Gunn was not one of like your main tentpole properties at Marvel.
You know, who would have ever heard of Groot?
Exactly. You know, of all the ones for James to pick, he picks Guardians of the Galaxy because he had a vision for it, something that knew that he could have done with that, and Kevin allowed him to like let that vision flourish.
And I mean, I gotta say, in Superman, like the minute Mr. Terrific, like who here? Were you a Mr. Terrific fan before
Yes.
you were?
I was a DC kid.
Oh, okay.
So
See,
I was.
okay, all
This
right.
was very nostalgic for me.
Okay.
A lot of people said it has a very golden age feel to it.
Oh, yeah.
With some of the characters. I mean, seeing Crypto,
Wow.
it was so
I mean,
great.
okay, but
I
look,
mean,
I'm
really
just saying,
think that
a
it's
cute
like,
dog in a cape, there's
Yes,
no way
of
that's
course.
not going to work. Okay, but Mr.
But
Terrific
Mr.
is more
Terrific,
of a niche character.
Love it. Hawk
And the
Girl,
minute
yes,
he hit the
yes.
screen, the minute Hawk Girl, Guy Gardner, the minute they hit the
Yes.
screen, we were like, it's like Groot and Rocket. We were like, I want to know more.
Yeah.
I want these characters
Yeah.
in my life
I was
on
big-
on my TV.
And that's where it has to come first. It has to come from characters that you're starting out with and want to grow with. You know, I think before James on, you know, as far as DC's approach to things, they tried to fast track their way to like where MCU
That's-
was after
yeah,
10
totally.
years.
Yeah.
And James feels like this is a good start. He's growing. He's like, this is the groundwork. Everyone's now excited to see, using this energy, using this world, what a Batman in this world is going to be like, what a Green Lantern is going to be like in this world.
Yeah.
And it feels like he's going to invest in it.
Yes.
Like, which I think is sorely needed. You know, in Marvel, it's been hard to get back to the magic of, you know, what led up to Endgame.
Yeah.
You know, it's really been hard to like recapture that. But DC is still fresh. DC still hasn't gotten to have their approach. I feel like this is still their phase 1, which is very
Right,
exciting
yeah,
to
like a
like
reboot of
see.
phase 1 in
Yeah,
a
exactly,
sense,
a
yeah.
reboot of phase 1. This
But
feels like finally like
It's
a
a
proper
great
reboot.
start, and like this has been. I've seen a lot of comic pros say this too. Favorite Superman since Christopher Reeve.
Oh yeah,
movie
totally.
wise,
Totally.
it's
I
really
mean,
great.
we're still hearing the buzz about Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's been very good. To me, the jury is still out. We'll see. I will not know till my butt
I
is
saw
in the
it.
seat.
I'm just kidding.
No, yeah. But you know, just speaking about Superman Fantastic Four, there's still so many reboots. You know, like we're seeing King of the Hill is back, although that's fantastic.
Yeah.
We love King of the Hill. You know, Jurassic Park. There's Alien. There's an Alien installation out there. You know, people are always saying, "I want something new," and yet they seem to be really focused on what's old. I mean, how does the new break through?
nostalgia. I mean, it's like anything. It'll bring you back. Like I agree, there should be new things all the time. Create new characters, you know, and see something fresh. But there is something about like, oh, I used to really like that series or that movie or that character, and it's nice to see them back. So I understand why they're doing it. I wish they'd mix it up more and be more fresh stuff. But yeah, I totally get it.
I will also have to blame the audience on this because
Well, yeah.
studios will come out with original projects all the time.
Yeah.
And they've been flopping despite getting great critical reviews. That has been a constant problem in which studios will be like, okay, we'll give you something new director, new story, new characters, and it still won't touch a live action remake of Lilo and Stitch.
Right.
You know, that's the problem that we're having, is that a lot of people are like, give us something new, and then we get something new and it loses money.
And it's
so,
it's rare that it doesn't. Like then we were just talking off earlier, something like K-pop Demon Hunters that came out of nowhere, and I was planning on watching it anyway because
Yeah.
of K-pop, and then in general. But it's number one on Netflix. The soundtrack's number one. The songs are number one. It's done incredible numbers, and it's going to obviously
But
expand
there's-
sequels. But it was something original, new, and different. And,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
look at that.
and
It's
Sony's
phenomenal.
been killing it with that too.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
I
Sony,
don't
exactly,
think I don't think
animation,
Sony
yeah.
has had a miss in the animation
Yeah.
category. You know, Mitchell's versus the Machines from
was
years ago,
great,
one
so
of
much
the
fun.
best animated films,
Love that film,
completely
yeah.
original,
Sure.
brilliant. And then of course the
course,
Spider-Verse
Spider-Verse, yeah.
films, which even though that's based on a franchise, they did something that no one's ever seen before with that one.
Even in K-pop Demon Hunters, some of the animation they've done is a little different than what we see in that type of.
So
story.
alive and
Yeah.
expressive,
Yeah.
and not the same sort of cookie cutter stuff
Yeah.
that feels safe.
I
great.
think it was very exciting for me to come here and see some of the building wraps being anime. I'm not sure we've seen that here before. And
I've seen a little, but yeah, there is a lot
bit.
more.
There's
I think you're right. There'll be a lot more. Yeah.
You know, we saw this report that Netflix, like 50% of the Netflix audiences watches anime. So
Mm-hmm.
I think for some people, they're just kind of like figuring this out. And
Mm-hmm.
guess what? It's really here.
I mean, look, I'm very thrilled that a couple weeks ago I got to see the Don to Don, the show that I'm currently voicing one of the villains of season 2 on. Was on the number 2 spot of most watched things on Netflix, sandwiched right between Squid Games and K-pop Demon Hunters. And they used my character Naki's horrible face was being used as the poster for it. So
It's a lovely, horrible face.
a,
So it's
lo-
all right.
a lovely, disgusting, horrible face.
That's right.
Yeah, but I mean, it is so huge, and these characters are so recognizable to so many people, and you know, it's fantastic. But I think we're still seeing a transition here, a little bit of a transition here at Comic-Con.
Yeah, for
towards
sure. I mean,
that audience.
This is, you know, I'm lucky enough to be one of the leads over at the studio that does both Hell of a Boss and Has Been Hotel. Has Been Hotel, which is on Prime Video. Hell of a Boss, which has been 2 seasons on YouTube, but is going to Prime Video this fall. And these 2 shows, I mean, as an example, you know, they entered into Hot Topic, these original shows that started on these very grassroots indie level. When they entered into Hot Topic, a store filled with all these like major IPs with tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars behind them, the first week they were out, they shot up to the #1 highest selling IP in those stores.
Wow.
And you know, that just shows it's like they're next to a lot of properties that have been around forever. These are 2 properties that are brand new, and the fans flooded to it.
Yeah.
It's a great series. So
I truly
reason
can't
why.
I can't produce enough merchandise for these
Well,
fans.
listen, they're great shows. They're also great characters. The designs
Yeah.
are fantastic. That's another reason why they succeed like that. But yeah.
The cosplayers here have been
Yeah.
incredible.
So
We had a
good.
huge cosplay meetup right after the panel today, and as always, they knocked it out of the park.
Good.
So, Morgana, you were just saying you're on a big panel as talent, and I can't imagine what that's like. But I will say I did something here at Comic-Con I've never
Oh
done
yeah,
before.
we should not be remiss in Heidi hosted and moderated a Hall H panel.
You have a very
Like,
impressive
Hall
tag
H,
on
Yeah.
right now.
the 7,500 seat Hall H.
I'm never taking it
She's
off.
never done it before and did
I'm
it,
never
and it's
taking
so
it off.
great. I'm so happy.
I'm
And it's
like,
so great.
yeah.
That is a host like
Yeah.
Well,
Ryan.
it
That
is
is peak right there.
The I don't know. I feel like I finished the story.
There you go.
You know,
Yeah.
just like Cody Rhodes. I feel like I finished the story
Yeah.
maybe in a little bit. And, there was a lot of, it was kind of like I imagined. Like
Mm-hmm.
I imagined that there would be a lot of prep and that there'd be a run time and, a lot of moving
Mm-hmm.
parts, but we'd have to do all this. And, it was for Mechanical Cake, which is a comics publisher that Ridley Scott is involved with, obviously the GOAT, my favorite director. So I was excited to do that. And, the people on stage. I have to say, though, I've seen all the bowels of Hall H, and there's a lot of bowels.
Yeah.
There's a lot of areas, and as I broached each circle of this purgatory, I became more nervous until I was standing right there, and they were doing the countdown. They're like 10 seconds, you go on stage, and then my heart was pounding, and then
Of course.
but you know what?
But you were fine.
As soon as I introduced the other people on the panel, I was like, hey, I'm just doing a
Yeah.
panel that I've done hundreds of, and except I'm in front of probably a few thousand people, so no
Yeah.
big whoop,
Yeah, I know you're very smart, very confident, but it was very
Oh.
cute. She did ask me because she was my former performer, and she was just like, "What do I do
Yeah.
when the spotlight hits?" I'm like, "Pretend they're all naked." You always hear that thing.
Yeah.
That whole
At a
thing,
certain,
all
at a
that
certain
stuff,
point, it
but
blends
yeah.
together.
Yeah.
I found it to be much easier to host a panel in front of 2,000 people than 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yes, you're
20
right.
people, you're noticing each individual person.
Oh, yeah.
2,000 people, it's just like, this is just a crowd.
they're all just
And there's
there,
really
yeah.
not much of a difference between 2,000 and 4,000. At a certain point, it all just blends together once you're up there.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
the applause sounds
That's
very
so true.
different.
And like
and
as
that's pretty-
performers, I'm sure the same way we both dealt with small crowds, and then
Oh, yeah.
the small crowds are like, "Oh gosh."
Oh yeah. No.
You see the
I-
person
I
on
know
the-
that performing for a big
Yeah,
crowd's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it's
but I've
great.
also had
Yeah.
theater shows where I've walked out and there's less people in the
Same.
crowd than
Than
in
the
the cast,
cast.
and I'm like, I now feel every eye because I
Yeah.
can count them. I can
What
yeah.
motivates you to keep on doing it when that happens? What
You know
motivates
what? If I have one person to perform
Yeah.
for, I just focus on giving them the best show possible. It's the same thing with auditions. It's when you're doing an audition, it's like it's less. It's hard to get out of the idea, the mindset of it being a job interview or something like that. And instead, you just have to treat it that I have an audience of one. If there's one person in the audience,
Yeah.
it's just like, cool, I have a one-person audience, and I'm going to put the best performance on I can for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you
some of those auditions, they'll keep going because they want more out of you. I'll sing another song or do this monologue. You can be in that room for an hour, with just the casting director or maybe one or two of them. And like you said, you're performing for a
Yeah,
person.
but you have to tailor it
yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you read the room.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's a great look at Comic-Con 2025. We're just getting started here. We're just the con is young. We have three and a half more days of adventure and glamour and magic, and hunger. And sleepless nights. But Comic-Con. Jimmy Morgana, thank you so much for joining us here on
Thank you so
Inside
much.
the Con.
Thank you for having
And
us.
of course, check out Comics Beats YouTube. Smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Keep us locked on there for all of our great content. And thanks again to our wonderful sponsor, the Last Lumenian.